Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jason Asbury.
Here.
Here. Jim Godfrey. Brian Ellis. Jessica Griffith. David Haba.
Dave, you still on the phone?
Yes, I'm here.
Brian Holman. Vic Mays.
Here.
Dave Meadows. Dave Mills.
here.
Jacob Pack.
Here.
Steve Perry.
Here.
Travis Willard.
Here.
Glenn Yeager.
All right. In your packet that was sent out, as well as in front of you on the iPads, are the meeting minutes from the October meeting. Take a look. If there's any changes, let us know. If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve minutes.
Have a motion, have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item of business here is citizens' concerns. This is a point of our agenda for citizens to bring any concerns to this board that are not, it's not already going to be covered on our agenda. Just please state your name and address.
Name is Joel Seitz, and my home address is in Charleston. Did you want that or the church address here in
Just
Putnam
give
County?
both, just for.
All right, home address is 1010 Matthews Avenue, Charleston, West Virginia. And the church address that I'm addressing today is 2nd Avenue South, 204 2nd Avenue South, Hometown, West Virginia.
Okay.
All right, thank you for the time here tonight. The issue that I would like to bring up and for consideration is we had planned for a building extension, addition on our church. We did get approval for that in the summer of '21. The permit for that expired in January of 2022. Due to coronavirus, the cost of wood and such, we were unable to get that done in that time. So recently looked into getting an extension on that permit and was made aware that kind of had to restart the whole process. And so I guess in addition to just the time and getting all that done, another challenge that we have now is our engineer, Jimmy Calhoun, has had some unfortunate health situations. I did contact the office. In addition to his health concerns, he has a flu right now, and so he was like, "I hope I'll try to get a hold of him. I can't even promise when that'll be the case." And so I guess I'm asking for some type of consideration here. We just want to kind of, with the wood prices down, we were hoping to get started sooner rather than later, kind of buy our wood package and stuff, such. And we have our drainage report. All that, we have the site plan and such. None of that has changed. I guess we're just looking for, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yes.
Go ahead, I'll ask about it.
Just seeing if there's anything that we can do to kind of expedite that process and such.
I got a couple questions.
Yes,
One being, that information was presented to the planning office and was either issued comment or was at some point issued approval by the planning office, correct?
yes, I have
Okay.
that, all that information with the approvals and such, yes.
Has there been any plan change, anything at all changed from your original submission to now,
No,
other than the price of lumber coming down?
yeah, other than that, yeah.
So, were you told that you could come to this meeting and address this by staff at all?
Yes.
Okay. All right. You guys have questions? Okay. David, my opinion is if it's the will of this board, I don't see why we can't grant approval. I mean, this is common sense. I mean, I'm sorry that you're here, to be brutally honest. You should have got your extension without having to waste your time to come here. I'll just be blunt about it. That's not how I like to see us conduct business, and I hope this can change in the future for our applicants. But that's my stance. Is to me, it's common sense. You know, we make a recommendation if the board so chooses to grant this gentleman an extension and let him go to work.
I'll make that recommendation if I'm allowed to.
As far as I'm concerned, you are. So we got a motion by Mr. Pack, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll get you a permit extension.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I do have a question for staff. You can-
Yes.
Yeah, for staff, so with this as a good example, our protocol would be for the new application to be basically a reapplication to occur, is that correct? At least that's how he was. Yeah, I guess that would be my next question. Would we have the ability internally to grant an extension so an applicant wouldn't have to come back to the planning commission?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if that's the ruling, yeah.
No. We're asking, do you have that ability right now?
Currently, do you
Without
have the
having to come to
authority?
the board.
Well, in the ILP, which is the one thing we're going to talk about tonight, is adding back in adding in the language about the 24 months for residential, 30 months for commercial.
So that language was already in prior to his permit expiring. So he fell under that then. Because that language just got removed 2 ordinance committees ago. So he shouldn't even been here. Staff, I mean, his permit should have automatically been extended based on our ordinance.
And how long,
January of
January 16th of 2022 this year.
It seems we didn't follow the ordinance is the question.
when was the permit issued?
Issued 7/16/21.
Oh, right.
Wait a minute, so if it was issued 7/16/21 and expired January of 2022, that's only 6 months later.
That's correct. Our ordinance was pretty clear that this shouldn't have happened.
If that's the case, then that was a mistake.
And this also brings up another point that if, say, we do meet the 24-month deadline, or actually, I guess it might even be 30 months in the future for commercial, is there a policy in place that will allow for an extension without that applicant having to come in front of the planning commission?
I think if it's not, I think that's a great discussion point when we get into this language. And also, it is absolutely asinine, in my opinion, to make an applicant go back through and resubmit engineering documents if nothing has been changed that has already been reviewed by this office and approved. And that's something, if that's not in there, when we get into that, I think that's something that we need to consider.
That answers the question.
So from my position as a president of this board, I want to sincerely offer my apology to you that your permit wasn't extended as it should have been by our current ordinance, and I'm sorry that you had to waste your time to come out here this evening.
I appreciate the time to present.
No problem. And you're welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting. You got more enjoyable things to do, you're welcome to leave. All righty, that's the end of the citizens' concerns. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing for text amendment 2022-36, improvement location permit ordinance. I will open the public hearing. Do we have any conflict amongst the board? All right, Mr. Call, floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Text Amendment 2022-36, Improvement Location Permit Ordinance, AKA ILP. I'd like to discuss the reinstatement of residential construction project language, as well as the reinstatement of commercial construction project language with addition of commercial development application checklist for zoned and non-zoned areas. For the board's review, I have 3 different options to discuss relative to this reinstatement of this language. Option number 1, if you look at file 3 on your iPad, includes reinstatement of residential construction project titled Article 200.01 and commercial construction project titled Article 200.02. These articles provide the Office of Planning and Infrastructure the authority to put a 24-month time limit on a residential development permit for completion and a 30-month time limit on a commercial development permit for completion. That's option one. And option one, if you'll scroll down to the highlighted area, that is simply adding back the language that we struck from the article a few meetings back. We had if you'll recall, we had a discussion with Mr. President, we had a discussion with Commissioner Foster, and we came to the conclusion that language should probably be added back in to the ILP. And that is option one. If you'll look at the same article, option two.
Is that number 4?
Yes, file number 4 on the iPad. Includes reinstatement of the residential construction project, Article 200.01, and commercial construction project, Article 200.02. These articles allow our office the authority to put a 24-month time limit on a residential development permit for completion and a 30-month time limit on a commercial development permit for completion. To clarify the applicant's responsibility relative to commercial development for non-zoned and zoned areas, you'll see I've provided generic disclaimer notes relative to the applicant's responsibility to prove that any proposed commercial development will cause no adverse impact. The Planning Commission or the Ordinance Review Subcommittee did not request this disclaimer be added to the ILP. This is just something I'm proposing for your review. To justify our request to review drainage and stormwater management proposals, for non-zoned commercial development outside of the floodplain and for commercial development that does not include division of land. If we look at option 2, scroll down to the highlighted Article 200.01, 200.02, you'll see 2 additional bullet points. I'll read them. If deemed necessary by the planning director and/or the planning commission, it is the applicant's responsibility to demonstrate through engineering calculations that the proposed commercial construction project's drainage and/or stormwater management will cause no adverse impact. If applicable, this requirement is relative to commercial development, industrial development, multifamily development, and manufactured home parks. It's option 2. Third option, which is file number 5 on your iPad. I have included included in option 3 is the proposed text amendment. Of this proposed text amendment are the application checklists for commercial development requirements relative to non-zoned and zoned areas. These checklist requirements are taken directly from our corresponding development applications. The board may wish to include this checklist within the copy of the ILP. I will say that after discussion with President Asbury, we did add these checklists to the website for developers and applicants to be better informed about what is required of them relative to residential and commercial applications in non-zoned areas. And you can see in file number 8 on the iPads the actual applications that are on the website. And these were taken from our development applications with the redactions based upon our recent ILP revisions.
So on option 2, what is the need for adding this additional language as presented when it's already covered under Storm Drainage Management, Article 400? The goal of the ordinance subcommittee was to strip out as much ambiguity and double standards out of the ILP. As a member of the ordinance subcommittee, I don't feel that option 2 nor option 3 is valid, and the only thing that this board should consider going back in is the time that is discussed in option 1. We continue to find ourselves in situations that things change, things get missed. The more information that's added into the ILP, which I would strip the entire ILP out if I could. I've got it down to about as good as I think I can get it. It continues to be an issue here, it seems. I don't think you need a checklist to add in here in the ILP when the checklist is already part of both applications. That is, I guess, my comment before I close the public hearing in case anybody on the board has questions for staff.
Where did option 2 and 3 come from?
These were options that I thought would be worth discussing. I did email these to.
Yeah, and Mr. Cole did email them to me, and I didn't offer any opinion at the time because I felt that it was worth having them presented to the full board to discuss here. So he did present these, and I just told him to include them for full board discussion.
The only comment or question I might have is with reference to, obviously, the residential definition, the residential construction project as it's defined on options, 1, 2, and 3, it's consistent. The same thing with commercial construction project. The only question I have with that is the last part of the paragraph for the commercial construction project contemplates the permit fee and the possibility of it being waived. It needs to be consistent on both the residential and the commercial, or I personally think it needs to be excluded because if I'm an applicant and I see this, that's given me, the out to go ahead and come before this board to get it waived. We always have the ability to entertain it being waived, I would
Sure.
assume, but I would recommend just striking it.
So striking from the word provided on. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Either
don't.
have it on both of them or neither, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I would.
Now, residential means the subdivision's correct, or individual can.
Any residential construction project.
Other thing that I was thinking about is the situation we just now ran into. The permit runs out in 24 months for residential, 30 months. Is there an option in here to extend that permit somewhere else? Will it be held to by this item?
If it
Can't be
waived.
May I offer a suggestion there?
Sure, please.
In a few text minutes back, we offered up language stating that the planning director could confer with the president of the planning commission to decide whether or not a situation is relevant, irrelevant, what have you. That could be language that's added here to avoid a situation like we had tonight and would address the concern you have relative to both these articles.
I would be agreeable, not that I vote, but I'd be agreeable to that as well.
On option 2, I was looking at the portion where it talks about, bullet point where it talks about the planning director, commission, applicant's responsibility for engineering calculations, drainage and or stormwater management. Isn't this the same thing that's handled the DEP stormwater permit?
Yes.
So So we're back into the point where we're trying to regulate something we don't have authority over, correct?
That's my opinion.
So for that very reason in itself, I would say option 2 and 3 would be invalid.
I guess before we go any further, we have any additional questions for staff? Because I do need to close the public hearing before we really probably discuss this much further.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Let the record reflect that nobody from the public is here to issue public comment. So with that, I close the public hearing. All right, now, Mr. Pack, if you have more, please, didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, that's fine. I actually had said everything I wanted to say.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, like I said, I wanted Mr. Call to present this just so everybody could see it because you guys may want to have this in here. I don't see the need for option 2 or option 3, especially that we've now added the checklist. And my major concern with option 3 is if that checklist changes and it gets changed on the checklist and it doesn't get changed in the ILP, or vice versa, we're going to end up right back here again having discussed this. I'm not a big fan of duplicate information in multiple different sections. Any additional questions or discussion between the 3 options presented? Because we do have a worksheet to do.
I have a question regarding procedure. When we go to the questions, we've got 3 options before us. So what option are the questions going to be answered?
I would state that you could do option 1 first, and if the answers are yes for option 1, and a motion is made to confirm option 1, and in that motion make any changes that we deem necessary to the language, as well as strike option 2 and option 3 in the motion, if that was to pass the board, I think that would suffice. That's my recommendation. That's right. Exactly right. So with that said, let's do the worksheet just for option 1 at this time. Question 1, will the proposed amendment protect and promote the public health, safety, convenience, morals, and general welfare?
I would say yes, that it does. Because once again, we're attempting to streamline and clarify the ordinances and regulations that would apply to construction, as well as provide for incentive to complete projects in the county.
Mr. Pack has said yes. Does anybody like to offer a different opinion? Very well. Number 2, is the amendment consistent in achieving the objectives of the adopted comprehensive plan, US 35 corridor management plan, and the Tays Valley land use plan?
I believe the answer is yes for all the reasons that
Mr. Mills has stated yes. Would anybody like to offer a difference of opinion? Very well. Number 1 and number 2 are yes. We do not need to go to number 3. So that leads us to entertaining a motion for option 1.
Can we still say something before you vote?
You can.
I would love to change this 30 to either 24 or 36. Because that 30 months is some weird math. If somebody comes in like March of 2019, it's going to take a second to calculate 30 months, as opposed to just being able to say 2 years or 3 years. I would go 36. I mean, I'm all about being super.
I'm totally cool with that. I have no issue there at all.
Yeah, I agree.
We can address that in the motion if I get one.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make a motion to recommend approval of option 1, with the residential section being stated and remaining as is, with the commercial construction project with the months being changed to 36 months, and then removing the last portion of that paragraph, provided that the new permit fee be waived or may be waived by a 2/3 vote of the Planning Commission Board. Have that striked from that paragraph, and then also strike out option 2 and option 3. Yes, and add in the language that the planning director and the planning president can confer to extend the applications that we have currently in the recently added language.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, moving on. Unfinished business. Do we have anything that's unfinished, Mr. Call?
You had requested that we include the applications in tonight's discussion, so I have included them on your iPad. The development permit applications for zoned and non-zoned. Item number 6 is the non-zoned application, and item number 7 is the zoned application as they exist right now.
Yeah, thank you for working those through with me back here earlier in the month to get these cleaned up. Appreciate it.
Okay. And the, as I stated earlier, the development permit application checklists for zoned and non-zoned are on the website under the application tab. So hopefully that will be helpful.
Okay. Any additional unfinished business? Do we have a meeting in December?
Not scheduled.
Okay. Yes, sir. We're not there yet. Cool your jets.
Trying to be ahead of everybody.
I'll tell you what, the only new business I have, since we don't currently have a December meeting scheduled, was the nominating committee has met to nominate officers for 2023, which I think, are you the nominating committee? We met after the last meeting, and I can, sadly, I don't remember who's on the nominating committee, but the nominating committee, they did recommend that I continue to serve as president for 23 and Mr. Mills as vice president. I'm happy to do so if this board votes and would like that. I'm also happy to allow anybody else that would like that opportunity to do that, because I would like to have that done prior to the new year. And if we don't have a meeting in December, let's do it tonight.
I'd recommend that we move forward with the nominating committee's recommendation.
So we have a motion from Mr. Mills. Do we have a second?
I was second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I guess I can't vote to oppose myself, so y'all only get me for one more year in that, so enjoy. I termed out. All right, now, Mr. Pack, we can go on to the staff report.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm on the ball today.
No problem.
I'm looking at the staff reports, and I'm very thankful that we were able to finally get those this month. However, there's one that we've implemented a little while back that would show all of the outstanding permits that you're currently working on, when each step was taken, when they were mailed, when they were received. I've not seen that report for several months. Is that something that we've dropped doing, or is there a reason why that's not included in these staff reports? Well, I mean, even then, we'd still want to see it.
Yeah, I'd still like to see that.
I don't think there's a reason why. It's something we can certainly add back in if the board wishes.
Yeah, I would like to see that added back in. It's a good, yeah, it's good transparency and good checks and balances.
Thanks.
Mr. Call, do you have any additional thing to report on the staff report?
I'll make a few statements here. In 2022, plat approvals to date through the end of October, we've done 113 with 42% of those being merger plats. In 2022, so far through October, we've done 182 development permits, the bulk of, 33.5% of those being site-built home permits. So far in 2022 through October, we have 67 zoning permits, 41.8% of those being sign permits. And from 2002 through 2020, well, first of all, let me state that so far in 2022, we have in development permits where we've done 24.2% increase over 2021 to this date. And in zoning permits, we've got a 19.9% increase over last year in zoning permits. In the last 10 years, the last 10-year average as of 2020, as of end of October in 2022, we are 9%. We have a 9% increase in development permits and a 9% increase in zoning permits over the last 10-year average. Just want to throw those numbers in for you.
I appreciate that. Anybody have any other questions for Mr. Call on the monthly report? The only thing I think I have left, which I should have done in new business, you got me out of order. So I blame you, Mr. Pack. But that is to at least acknowledge former Commissioner Foster's service to this board as well as the county. Personally would like to thank him, even though he's not here, for the leadership he brought this county for 5.5 years, as well as the leadership he brought on this board. I also look forward to 2023 and this board working with Commissioner-elect DeWeese. So, with that said, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Just don't hit his hand.